The knee is probably one of my least favourite joints to manage, because despite the fact that it's a very simplistic joint, most people that will come to me with knee pain will not understand the concept of why we don't always look at the knee when it's a knee problem. So when we look at fixing a knee problem, what we essentially have to understand is that a knee is a little bit like a door. So when we look at the knee literally only can open and close. It is literally like a door. It opens and closes. So when we look at the knee from the front, essentially what we have is these ligaments that sit to the side of the knee, and then the ligaments that most people know about, which is the cruciate ligaments. Now, essentially, if you imagine taking this door that only opens and closes, and then trying to open and close it either in this direction or in this direction, rather than in the directions it's supposed to do, which is bent backwards and forwards, all of a sudden we have a much bigger issue. And so realistically, the main reasons why the knee will start to drop in or out is not normally because of the knee itself. It's more commonly to do with the joints above and below it, namely the hip or the ankle. And so a lot of the time when we're looking at managing a knee problem, we have to look at good ankle mobility and stability, good knee mobility and stability, as well as good hip mobility and stability. And what a lot of people with lower limb issues will actually start to develop is problems with, say for example, like I said, the hip or even the lower back. So when we look at, say for example, something like the knee, it's a little bit more complicated than it being an open and closed door, because we've got to actually look at the reasons why that door comes off the hinges. So we're going to have a look at a couple of exercises directly for the knee to keep it strong, but also we're going to have a look at some ways that we can actually improve the knee from above and below. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some exercises for the knee today. So for me, like I said, the most common places that we'll find issues with the knee is both above and below it. But the exercises that we're going to concentrate on for knee pain are going to be really directed at strengthening certain muscles. So what we see most commonly with knee injuries, as far as weakness is concerned, is a lack of ratio between the hamstrings and the quadriceps. What that basically means is that the muscles between the front hand side of the knee and the back hand side of the knee have become imbalanced. So the ability to push out straight versus bend has become imbalanced. Now the ratio should be is 1:1. Now, if, say for example, we can do 10 repetitions of 50 kilos and we can kick the leg out and we can do that 10 times, we should be able to start, say again, with our 50 kilos, and we should be able to pull and do 10 repetitions pulling towards us at the same time. So that's one of the most common things that we'll see. So we're gonna have a look at some ways that we can actually balance out those muscles. Equally, we're going to have a little look at strengthening up the glutes. Now, one of the most common reasons for losing knee stability is actually a lack of stability at the hip. And then we're also going to have a look at specifically the inside factor of the knee as well, so the vastus medialis. So we're really going to be looking at trying to prevent that knee from dropping in, strengthening up from the front to the back, and then looking at that ratio as well. So we're going to look at 4 exercises: quads, hamstrings, the vastus medialis oblique, which is one of the 4 heads of the quadriceps, and then the last one is the glutes as well.
So the first muscle that we're going to look at here is the quadriceps. So all you need is a band and a chair. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to put our foot through the band and then the band through underneath the chair so it holds it straight. Now this can be a little bit awkward because the band will want to slide up the front of the shin. However, obviously if you can keep it controlled enough, you should be able to actually manage that from sliding anywhere. Now all of this is basically about control. So you want to kick the leg out so it's almost straight, just before it's almost straight. And then you want to bring it all the way back until it's actually to that point where it's almost completely relaxed. You don't really want to let it completely relax. You want to keep that muscle under tension the whole time. Now, realistically for knees, we want to be aiming for decent strength here. So we should really be aiming 10 plus repetitions. Now, what we're going to do is with the next exercise, it's going to be the hamstrings. Now, like I said, with the quadriceps to hamstrings, we want to make sure that their ratio is roughly 1-to-1. So whatever you manage with the quadriceps, what you want to try and do here is at least exactly the same number of reps. Now, if you find that you're actually weaker in one, what you actually want to do is you want to actually focus more time on strengthening that one up than the other. So when we look at doing this one, again, the band goes around the bottom of the chair, and all we're going to do is pull the hip into a little bit of extension and then bend the knee. Again, all of it is controlled. We're trying to keep that muscle movement slow and keep that muscle under tension for as long a period as possible. Here, what we're going to demonstrate is a glute exercise that you can do seeing. If you want more additional exercises on the glutes, I do just recommend going over to my glute firing series, which is another episode that we've got here on YouTube. With this one, we're just going to sit our knees slightly wider apart. We're going to put the band around the base of the knees. You don't want it across the knee joint. The feet are going to sit slightly wider than where the knees were sitting. And then as we actually start to push out, then our knees will come over the top of our feet, where our feet are positioned. Again, we're just going to aim for 10 plus repetitions. Again, you want to keep that movement nice and controlled. All of these movements are about control and quality of the movement. Here, what we're demonstrating is the vastus medialis. So with the vastus medialis, it is a hip flexor and knee extender. So what we're showing here is the foot is externally rotated. We're sitting in a V-sit position, and all we're going to do is really pulse the leg up roughly a couple of inches at a time. And you should feel a big burn on the inside of the thigh and the medial part of the knee, so the inside of the knee. So here's me demonstrating it from the side. So we're sitting in that V-sit position, hands behind us supporting us, leg just pulsing up a few inches at a time. Again, aiming for those repetitions, really aiming to go above 10. Realistically, if we're going to build decent endurance, we want to go for 15. Now, I've added a little extra bonus in. This is one of the most common things that we see problems with knees, is that people don't actually know how to properly bend and squat. So a really simple exercise you can do as a bonus is just try and touch your bum to a chair and get back out again without having to use your hands to push and project yourself. This builds really good strength in both the hip extenders and the knee extenders. Thanks for watching.